Μια μυσταγωγία στο αρχαίο στάδιο των Δελφών, στα πλαίσια της Διεθνούς Μουσικής Συνάντησης, όπου τρεις φωνές συνομίλησαν. Ένας βαρύτονος, μια σοπράνο και ένα τσέλο. Συνομίλησαν με το θείο, μέσα από τη μουσική του John Tavener, βλέποντας. Mr. Tavener, βλέποντας is something that you can hear with the ears of the soul, of the spirit, of the heart.
I hope. Yeah, I hope, because I think that music has gone in such a direction, has moved so far from metaphysics, has moved so far even from, and humanism, it has gone from that also. In fact, there was a monk on Mount Athos who said, Agenores, who said, we live in a culture in ruins. Now I have to question this, because I live in this culture in ruins. If I live in this culture in ruins, and I have been given a gift from God to be Synthesis, what am I doing about it? What can I do? What can I do? Not the thought, how can I do this? How can I do that? How can I do that? But something deep from within says to me, I must do something in this short time. We don't know how long. Maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years. We don't know. But that in this time, perhaps there's a possibility of reconnecting, as in the world of ancient Greece, where metaphysics, life, everything in life and music, art were connected. Now they have become split, and we have music, art for art's sake, hence the concert hall, hence the art gallery. No longer the icons in churches, some, yes, of course, but they go to the museum. Everything goes to the concert hall, so it becomes art for art's sake. All have become an idolatry, and the only thing you can idolize is God.
And watching your rehearsal, I felt this mystic energy and this mystic atmosphere deriving from your music. I know you wrote this piece for Delphi, for this special place and for this special, what's the word? In Delphi, all the musicians came together, okay?
Yeah, yes.
So, did this inspire you especially? Did this give you this mystic atmosphere?
I know that I didn't want it to be performed anywhere else except Delphi. And I said to my publishers in England, nowhere else. If anybody else, they ask for this piece, no. This piece was written for Delphi. But when I say for Delphi, it's not because I have a great knowledge of ancient Greece. It's because I love Greece. I also have a house in Greece. Also, I have a memory of Delphi. When I visited it, maybe now 20, 30 years ago. I haven't been back since, but I remember most strikingly, not the ruins, not the stadium, not all these things, but the atmosphere and the nature. The nature, which is sometimes uncompromising, is merciless, but very true and awesome.
And we talked about paradox. The paradox and the difference between ancient culture and orthodoxy and our, of course, our Christian world. Can we discuss it again?
Yes.
This paradox and this controversy between the ancient philosophy and ancient gods and our own God.
I like to think of it, maybe I'm wrong, but I like to think of it in this way, because Christ himself said, before Abraham, I am, Ime. So I think there is something of the hypostasis of Christ, all through the Greek civilization, all through, as there is through the Judaic tradition, as I think there must be in ways we don't know and don't understand and we can't talk about it. It's impossible to intellectualize about such things as there is in Hinduism, as there is in Buddhism. Christ in some form is there because he said before Abraham, Ime.
Mm-hmm. And the ancients, what were they thinking, in your opinion? Were they referring to one God maybe unconsciously when they were referring to their gods? Like unification of all gods? Like maybe today we can unify all these different traditions and different deisms?
I think there's a limit to how far one can go on saying we know anything. And there comes a point which is very ancient, it's a very Greek way of thinking, of Plato, when he says we do not know. And this is very profound. Not we don't know anything, of course we know many things, but at one point we don't know. We don't know exactly what happens to us after we die, for instance. And when the Orthodox Church becomes rigid on this matter, talking about Vyodhya or toll houses, I become a bit disenchanted with this view because none of us can know what happens to us when we die. We don't know. Nobody has come back and told us. All we have is something so humble, and something so humble that we have to hold on to and believe in some kind of way. Christ said to the thief, not to the publican, not to the rabbis. He said to the thief, "This night you will be with me in paradise." That's all we know. So we have to say, at the end of the day, we don't know. We only know that he promised this thief, maybe murderer, maybe adulterer, maybe everything that he was, you, because you have acknowledged me, you will be with me in paradise.
We can't, you say, we can't know, but you mentioned in your piece of art, we can't also see anthropon typhlon, like Oedipus typhlon.
Yes.
And you combine, or you put him next to King Lear and Christ in this triangle for your piece here. Why and how is the question? Why these people, this blindness of Oedipus and this light of Christ together?
Oedipus, it seems, it's a very legalistic, what he did was to be punished. Not exactly punished, but he took out his eyes. He took out his eyes and he was driven out. That's what I mean by being merciless. If we don't know if when Christ was alive this thing had happened, one can only see in what he did, how he behaved towards Mary Magdala, how he behaved towards the thief, how he behaved towards the publican, etc., 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 etc. Here was a true seeing, but I don't believe any of us in this world can see. We only begin to see when we pass out of this world. We begin to see, truly to see. So I make the comparison between the legalistic telling of the story of lack of sight. It's not just physical sight, it's lack of inner sight, it's lack of being able to see, to perceive. Maybe Oedipus, when his eyes were taken out, he had inner sight, a greater inner sight because he had no longer his physical eyes. When the blind man in the Gospel, Bartimaeus, receives his sight, he does so in a different situation because it is through repentance, through constant repentance. You have better words for repentance in Greek. Repentance in English, it sounds very very wrong. There is a better word, and I can't think what it is in Greek, for repentance, but this constant awareness that we fall, because the fall was not something that happened once. The fall is something that goes on happening and happening and happening, also individually, because we fall, but we can. And this is the extraordinary thing of Christianity which did not exist in, as far as I can see, in ancient Greece, that we can go on right to our last breath, picking ourselves up.
Yes, it's so this uplifting spirit of yours, how does it help you combining Byzantine music? It sounds like from Russian school Byzantine, not a monophonical system, but polyphonical.
You
not
think
like the Greek.
Russian?
No, generally speaking about your Byzantine sound, it sounds more Russian. Professor Agenopoulos told me, who is special in Byzantine music.
I think I'm influenced maybe by three: the Indian music, the Greek, the Byzantine music, and the Russian, the ancient, the medieval Russian music. I can't say I love one more than the other. I don't like this thing of one is better than the other. We don't know what's better. Only God can judge what's better. And I think there is a danger in these different countries of jingoism, a kind of, I'm Greek, I'm Russian, I'm Indian, and therefore it's better. We can't say, we don't know what's better. I happen to feel more happy in Greece than I do anywhere else, but I don't say it's better than anywhere else. I just happen to feel more happy in Greece, more myself, more true, more everything else.
Let's talk about the stadiums, the ancient stadiums, the ancient theaters that your work has been presented so far, about Ephesus and Epidaurus and Herodion, and now here in Delphi.
Yes.
They all have this special atmosphere. Do you find it more interesting to present your work in between, among ruins, or in any theater like Megaron Musikism so far?
I think it's very wonderful that in Greece, maybe in other countries, I don't know, but the only country I know in Greece, that you start using these ancient sites that are also outside to present music which might, we don't know, might lead us back to a metaphysical way of living, a more sacred way of seeing things. I think it's that's where I have a hope. I think there are many people, for instance, I mentioned the monk on Agionoros, St. Simeon. Not St. Simeon, he's not saint, he's alive. He's very big, he eats a lot, he eats caviar, but he makes very outspoken things. And he says, we live in a civilization in ruins. And I think, well, I think there are vestiges of hope, because at the end of this century, and another person who has said something about what might happen at the end of this century is the French ex-French cultural minister, Henri Malraux, who said either the next century will be holy or it will not exist at all. Also some Sufis have said we live in a world where the doors to heaven and hell are both open and we can go either way. So that gives me hope, and it gives me greater hope that in Greece we are using these sacred places to actually perform music, and perform music which is contemporary, which is not any longer art for art's sake. Because once you put music under the stars, it cannot be art for art's sake.
And watching the stars yesterday night, when the lights went down at the rehearsal, the globe, the stars, and then your sound.
Never mind
how did you feel?
The
no,
stars.
it came. No, it was this connection, sounds, logos,
if it's possible,
and vision, and so it wasn't. It was glepondas then. That's what I want to say.
That's very kind of you to say it.
After all, I mean, after all the anthropon.
I know nothing, but because I don't regard myself as it's something which passes through me, so I can't tell whether the fact that it has an effect on people moves me very much. Not because critics say they think it's skata or they think it's wonderful. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't care what they say. The critics is another phenomenon of this age. It's a profession. It's something to keep people earning money. Has nothing to do with tradition. Has nothing to do with metaphysics, because they don't know anything about metaphysics. In Greece, maybe they do. In England, they know nothing about metaphysics. Because we live in England, I must say, I think, in faintly a pagan society. We live in a post-Christian society, and there is nothing to replace it.
Let's hope
there never will be.
Let's hope that we will enter this door and find ourselves not in hell, but in paradise.
I hope.
And where will you find yourself in the next century?
In the dustbin.
No, I mean you're like a musician, like a person. They say that gods through music communicate with people. They say this is a sound from another world.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking, where will you find yourself as a musician? Not as a human only, but most.
I don't know. I have to say I don't know.
Thank you very much.
It's separated from metaphysics, and that it's become art for art's sake.
Oh yes.
Because you go to the Megaron for a concert, and it becomes a social occasion, whereas here it's more likely that something else will happen.
Yes, I almost no, I agree. It was this feeling. It needs only the stars, sound, and what we can see through natural ways.
Thank you for the reaction.